really excited to talk to my next guest, which would be Michael Fields from Colorado Rising Action. Michael, are you there?
Hey, Sherry, how are you?
Hey, I'm doing great. Did you hear Governor Hickenlooper last night? Did you watch the debates?
I tuned in and out. It's kind of painful to watch 2.5 hours of that, but I did hear him quite often talk about having the number one economy in the country and him crediting himself with that. And I know you just talked about how oil and gas is an important part of that. I think TABOR is another reason why we have the number one economy. But if it was up to Governor Hickenlooper, we would have raised taxes a lot more, grown government even more than we did. It's hard to listen when people just make up stuff like that.
Oh, I agree completely. And you're right. TABOR is, right in there with oil and gas for the reason why our economy is so good, and that's why I was laughing, because he made the remark last night that while he was governor, he also said last night while he was governor, he did not build any massive government expansion. I think he forgot about Senate Bill. I think it was 257 a couple years ago that took the hospital provider fee and put it into its own enterprise fund so that the TABOR cap could be lifted again. I think he forgot about that little bit of government expansion. I think it was like $600 million, $500 million or something that they got to spend more of the next year.
Yeah, $600 million. That's right.
But
that's not big enough for. I mean, when they're talking trillions of dollars that they want to do on the national level, I guess is growing the budget by $1.4 billion a year isn't big government expansion. So I guess it's all relative.
Exactly. Well, yeah. I mean, if you talk to Elizabeth Warren, she wants $2 trillion just to do another study on climate control, another study, another more research. $2 trillion. And it just comes out of their mouth like there's, no problem with it. But hey, let's get back to.
I was going to say, it's one of the reasons why, at least on the state level, we have a balanced budget where if they want them to spend money, they got to find it somewhere.
Right.
It's the really scary thing about national politics is just, it ends up as debt to our kids and grandkids, future grandkids. So that's a big concern on the national level.
Exactly. And, why you're here, part of the reason we have, in addition to having a spending limit and a balanced budget amendment, we also have the Taxpayers' Bill of Rights, which is this great thing that you're out there defending. Everybody wants to take it away. And every day we read one more thing in the paper about, this judge decided this way and this judge decided that way. And now we've got Proposition CC that they want to be able to, take some of the money back. Tell me first, tell us about Proposition CC and what it would do to Colorado.
Yeah, so Proposition CC is the first attempt for them to chip away to really gut a huge part of our Taxpayers' Bill of Rights. And if you think about the Taxpayers' Bill of Rights, you kind of have two sides of it. One is that we get to vote on tax increases and debt increases. The other side is that it limits the growth of government to population plus inflation. And if we go beyond that, we get refunds, which is a great thing. We used to get more refunds. They found ways to get around that, but we are headed into a few years here where we would get refunds that would equate to $1.3 billion is the projection over the next 3 years. But what they want to do with Prop CC is take away those refunds forever. So if you remember REST-D, it was a 5-year timeout where they took those refunds. This is permanently. And the problem with it is there's no guarantee on where that money will go. They want to say that it's going to go to education and transportation, but it's a statute, and they could change that at any point, and they're still going to take your money. And as we just talked about, our budget has gotten bigger and bigger each and every year. And so you had, fortunately, almost all Republicans vote against this in the legislature, all but one. But the Democrats have pushed it forward. They know that it's not that popular, and so they were trying to do a special session or not. And it looks like it's going to be on the ballot this November. And so we're getting out talking to people, having that conversation about why you should get your tax refund because of TABOR.
Which is interesting because, it does look like it's going to be on the ballot. And it looks like it might be on the ballot with another proposition that would just repeal TABOR altogether, 100%. And that was funny because the title board, there was a big debate over what to call what to name this initiative. And, I've been testing it out. And so I've gone to all of my friends, my family, my son and his friends. And I'm like, hey, do you guys think it would be a really good idea to get rid of Article 10, Section 20 of the Colorado Constitution? And they look at me and go, oh, what is that?
No idea what it is.
Yeah. Okay.
They tried to make the case, the people who wanted to get rid of it, that everybody knows what that is. I don't know one person who does know. Maybe, Doug Bruce, who wrote it, would know, but that's pretty much it.
Yeah.
They just don't want to say this is the Taxpayers' Bill of Rights or this is TABOR, and people know, what TABOR is and what the Taxpayers' Bill of Rights is, and so this is just a way for them not to talk about it. The funny thing was the same person who was arguing that as a title board wrote a op-ed 2 days later for the Sun and used TABOR in the title and throughout the whole thing and never used the section at all. It was like that, to even argue that was kind of ridiculous, but it shows they really don't want people to know what they're trying to do.
Exactly, because, and if you would speak to this, I hear you say a lot that TABOR is more popular than ever now. It is. And explain to my listeners, why you believe that and what evidence you have to show that.
Yeah, so back when TABOR passed in 1992, it got 53% of the vote. And we did recent polling, and I've seen two polls, in the last couple months showing that the Taxpayer Bill of Rights is over 70% support, 71 in one of the polls, 72 in the other. And I think a large part of it is because people love being able to have a say and consent on tax increases. They don't trust government. They look at other states. They look at Vermont when they tried a single-payer system. They look at California when they had to shut down the bullet train that they were spending billions of dollars on. We don't like those kind of huge programs and ideas without getting approval from the people. And we've shot down the last 6 statewide tax increases while our economy has remained number one. And so I think all these talks about how there'd be chaos and we'd be closed for business if we passed TABOR 26 years ago, that hasn't happened at all. Actually, we've gotten better as a state in a lot of ways, and hoping that the legislature stops overreaching and trying to ruin that.
Right.
But yeah, the 71% number is a huge number. Unaffiliated voters love TABOR. Republicans love TABOR, and a lot of Democrats do too. So I think looking at that and saying, we need to get this message out, talk about it, and defend TABOR. And that's what our coalition is trying to do.
Can you stick around for another segment, Michael?
Yeah.
I'd like to talk to you about
no
what
problem.
the coalition is doing and how people can help. Perfect. Okay. When we come back, we'll have some more with Michael Fields and talking TABOR and Proposition CC.
iHeartMedia, the country's largest multimedia marketing company, is looking for our next sales superstar. If you live and breathe creating branding solutions for clients, then we want to meet you. Go to ComeRockWithUsDC.com. That's ComeRockWithUsDC.com.
Here's a tender little tale, fresh from the trail, about a cowboy fell in love with a cowgirl named Dale. It was love at first sight, that's what they said. Their sweet something sure went to their heads. They walked and talked and shot the breeze, held hands and kissed under the trees. Then the cowgirl whispered, let's get some food. So they rode on to a place that looked good. Found a Roy Rogers restaurant just round the bend. Cowboy said, wasn't Roy some kind of legend? Cowgirl said, works for me, how about you? Cowboy smiled, I like it too. Folks at Roy said their howdy doos, y'all sit right down here, buckaroos. Before too long they were feeling at home. Cowboy said, lot better than where the buffalo roam. The 3-piece combo was a tasty surprise. New chicken tenders, soft drinks, and fries. Each big tender was specially chosen. The chicken was hand-breaded, fresh, never frozen. When they'd had their fill, they said their goodbyes. Cowboy said, we'll be back, there's lots more to try. Folks at Roy said, see you soon, you two. Meanwhile, happy trails to you. DoorDash is now available at participating restaurants.
Autoblog declares the Mazda CX-5 outguns the BMW X3, the Mercedes GLC 300, and the Porsche Macan. Discover the Mazda CX-5 with an available turbo engine for yourself with a test drive. Mazda. Feel alive.
Want an audio experience up to 60% louder with up to 260% more perceived bass? Experience Dell's Cinema Sound on the XPS 13 with an 8th Gen Intel Core i7 processor. To learn more, call 800-BY-DELL.
Exciting. Turn your house into your dream home with a new Champion sunroom. Replace that unsightly siding or lower your energy bills with Champion Comfort 365 replacement windows. Millions of windows installed since 1953 and recommended by more than 9 out of 10 customers. Champion is the right choice for your home. 50% off windows, 35% off sunrooms and siding, plus 60 months low interest financing. Visit us online or call 888-718-CHAMPION today. All discounts apply to our regular prices. Select styles apply. Minimum purchase required. Cannot be combined with other advertised offers. See store or website for details.
Great Scott! RBC Wealth Management's 13th Annual Suitcase Party, presented by Hartford Homes, Flood & Peterson, and the High Country Beverage, is Friday, August 16th and benefits Northern Colorado United for Youth. Enjoy great food, drink, the Spasmatics, and auctions with your all-inclusive boarding pass. Come with your suitcase packed, because if you're the winner of the raffle, you'll be whisked away by private plane on a luxury 3-night vacation to Nashville right from the party. Learn more and get tickets for this year's Back to the Future theme party at suitcaseparty.com. A special thanks to iHeartRadio as this year's radio sponsor.
This report is sponsored by Compassion International.
Well, the I-25 drive northbound has been getting it tight from Berthoud on up to 402, then again from Eisenhower up to 392. 34 Eisenhower making that drive across I-25 to about County Road 13 in that area. Also around 257, seeing some delays. Slowdowns on Milliken Road, making your way through the stoplights here at this point. I'm Jim Hudson. Good morning.
Right now, there's a child living in extreme poverty with no future and no hope. But you can bring hope when you become a Compassion International sponsor. Just text the word child to 83393 and sponsor a child right now.
All the news you need all the time. Follow us on Twitter and Facebook. 600 KCOL.
19, Sherry Pice, Complete Colorado, in for Jimmy Lakey, who's out for a few days, vacationing, taking some time with his son before school starts back up and get back into that busy, hectic life. Still with me, I hope, is Michael Fields from Colorado Rising Action. Michael, are you there?
I'm here.
Perfect. So we are talking the Taxpayers' Bill of Rights and exactly what that means to Coloradans as we approach an upcoming election. Proposition CC, which would take away any refunds due under TABOR permanently. And, you know, the last time Ref C was a limited amount of time. This is CC, so it's C on steroids, taking it away permanently, correct?
That's correct.
And that is just kind of the first step in getting rid of TABOR altogether, which is what we know the Democrats ultimately want to do, is just get away with do away with TABOR because it is limited growth, it is limited spending, it is, you know, shouldn't say limited growth, it's limited spending and controlled their spending over the years with growth. So tell us what your coalition is doing, who belongs to it, and how people might be able to help out with it.
Sure. So I think one important part and why it's so important that we get the word out about Proposition CC is because the ballot language is very fluffy. It sounds good. The legislature did this on purpose, hoping that people wouldn't understand it. And so it starts without raising taxes to better fund roads and education within a balanced budget. I mean, they throw everything in there trying to get people to support it.
Did they offer some puppies as well?
Yeah, I know, everything. And it's obviously a tax increase because they're taking, keeping, and spending more of your money. Everybody thinks that's a tax increase, but there's no number figures in there. There's not, you won't get your refunds of $1.3 billion over the next 3 years, et cetera. So I think one of the reasons why we are working so hard on this coalition is to educate people about what it really means for them. And so within our coalition, we have our No on CC issue committee, the Independence Institute, our group, Colorado Rising Action, are involved. A lot of other groups, Laura Carno's group, taxpayers, fighting for taxpayers down in Colorado Springs is a part of it, and the TABOR committee. So we have a lot of groups, and then AFT, Americans for Prosperity, has its own issue committee, which is working really hard on door-to-door, on phone calls, on texting, and also doing, some advertising. And so we're looking at this saying conservatives agree on this, unaffiliated agree with us if we're able to educate them. And so all these groups are out there using this. This is the big battle of this year. and it will be, a future battle. If they win this, they're going to go after full repeal. And so we do have a website, VoteNo on cc.com. We're trying to get a lot of grassroots support, and especially low dollar amounts, $5 or $10. People saying, you know what, it's worth pitching that in order to get the message out that Tabor's a good thing and we need to defend it.
Right, and you have some pretty big name individuals that have come behind you as well. I mean, I know former Governor Bill Owens, who he was a proponent, a supporter of Ref C back in the day. Even he has come out and said Proposition CC is just bad. Who else, big names are on your side with this?
Yeah, so we have a good coalition of elected officials, former elected officials. Bill Owens, as you mentioned, is a huge one for us, given the fact that he did push Ref C. Another person who did was a former U.S. Senator Hank Brown, who ran as president of CU system a little while ago in northern Colorado. But he said, there was a lot of promises made with Ref C money, and it didn't go to higher ed the way that they said it would. So he came out against it. We have chairs like Heidi Ganal, the at-large regent, who is great. You have George Brockler, Congressman Ken Buck is a part of it. We have a lot of people at the legislature that are a part of this group. Mark Hillman. I mean, there's a long list of conservative people here in Colorado that have said, you know what, this is one where we can unite together in defending Tabor. It's been a good thing for us. And so if you go to the website, you'll see a larger list of kind of the group of leaders, former Treasurer Walter Stapleton, et cetera. So we're excited about the group that we have together, and hopefully we can get the message out.
And I noticed you also have a fundraising, a crowdsourcing site up on freedomfi.com, trying to raise, it looks like you have a goal of $25,000 to try to help with it, that people can go to and donate any amount, $5, $10, $200, whatever they need, just to help get the word out about Tabor, and that is freedomfi.com, correct?
That's correct. And so, yeah, if anybody listening would chip in, I think it's important that people know that, everyday Coloradans agree with this. You have a lot of lobbyists at the Capitol, a lot of liberal elected officials. You have the special interests that all want more money in to grow government. But Colorado gets to say, we get a vote on it. And, to get that message out, it takes some resources. So would appreciate if people go there and contribute a little bit.
Perfect. Well, hey, Michael, thank you so much for coming on this morning. I appreciate it. Hopefully they'll get the word out and people will start helping educate people about just how bad Proposition CC will be for Colorado.
Thanks, Jared. It's good to be on with you.
You bet.